Page 27, Habañera. Habañera. I can't pronounce this stuff, okay? I don't speak that. This is a melody from an opera. I have a few things I want to talk about here. I'm going to start with the right hand. These staccatos are important. Well, they're always important, but here it makes it. Now, when you get to the second line, first measure, I would do a 5/4 on those two C's. And then you can do a 5 on the next C. Fingering, it's a suggestion. What do you think? I don't like the 1/4, 1/4, 1/4 on those. But if you want to, that's fine. I would do a 1/3/4 or a 4/3/4. So work out your fingering. So this is not, it says Allegro moderato, but it's not really a fast piece. It's sort of a moderately fast. You can find recordings of this. Experiment with the fingering here. So if you can, use different fingers on repeated notes. Don't make it too cumbersome or complicated. If it is, then use the same finger on repeated notes if you have to. It's okay. When you get down to the bottom on the first ending, you'll notice in the right hand it has a 2-1. They're telling you play it with the second finger and then substitute the first finger for it. I'm a big believer in finger substitutions. I do them all the time. So the idea is it puts you in position for the octave to repeat. The left hand here just has this pattern throughout. Staccato on the first beat, it's important. The 3 is kind of important on the A because it allows you to hit that F okay. You have to connect them, they're legato. Okay, if you did a 2 on the A, that's a bigger stretch, so a 3 on the A. And that's really about all the left hand's doing throughout most of this. The notes will change occasionally. They're on like third line down, it changes. The chord changes. Now at the end of the page, you will notice a double bar line, a new section, hey, because you have the introductions, the first line, because it's got a double bar line. It's an introduction up there. Well, so we're going into a new section when we go to page 28. And the key signature is changing. So they're taking away the flat. They have a natural sign to take away the flat. And now they're introducing 2 sharps. So we're going from D minor to D major. And no, they're not relative. Relative minor and major is when they have the same key signature. This is parallel, called parallel, because they start on the same note. D minor and D major are parallel to each other. So we would say D minor is the parallel minor to D major. Now on page 28, for the right hand, you have to work the fingering that works for you, okay? In the first measure, let's just look at this. The first 2 notes, probably I would use a 5/4, but you could do a 5/5 on the 2 C's, okay? That's C naturals. But when I go from an 1/8 note to a quarter note or a short note to a long note, I would really prefer not to use the same finger, and that's what they're saying. You can, but I don't like doing that. So I'm going to put a 4 on the third beat on the B, so it's there. I can use the 4 continuing, I just don't want to use a 5 on that there. It's similar to the next measure where they give you a 5 on the A on the 8th note and then give you a 4 on the G sharp. That's what I'm after, a different finger when you go from a short note to a longer note. Second line, same thing in the second measure. It's here, a 5 on the 8th note C, but I would do a 4 on the B. And if you can't reach it, use the thumb to play both of those lower notes, the D and the E. I mean, we use thumb and left hand, all kinds of things. We can do it here too. That enables you to use your third finger on the A sharp if you want. Third line down, last measure. Right hand, the first note, that is a dotted quarter note. It's not staccato. Hold that out all the way. You lift it up just before you play the 8th note, so there's a little silence, but not much. Because we want this contrast here. We want it to be long here. This happens in a few other places, but you'll see them when you get there. Now over on page 29, third line down, they're saying 1, 2 on those notes. Yeah, I don't know. Because in the measure before it, you're here. See the notes right before the last beat on the second line, you're playing 2/4. So they want you to go from here to here. I find that awkward. So I'm recommending on the third line, you play the first 3 eighth notes with 3/5. And then on the last one, change to here. I can do that more easily than what they're suggesting. So to play the last measure of the second line and the first measure of the third line, it's here. See, it's legato. You got to connect it. Ah. So we have to have a fingering that allows us to do this legato, and that fingering they're showing doesn't do that. So I would recommend. See, there's no pedal in this part. So, last line, I just want to point it out, not changing nothing. The first measure, you're still legato. Those 2 quarter notes, hang them out, make them legato. Connect them, and then now thumb on the A. The A is tied, so you're going to hold it down as you play the F sharp, and then you'll lift the A up when you play the 8th note E, and then staccato. It has an 8 VA at the last measure, so instead of here, we're going to play the right hand here. The left hand stays where it is. They're showing pedal there at the end. When they do this, there's no pedal anywhere else. I'm going to leave the pedal out. You can put pedal in there if you want. All they're doing is reinforcing the fortissimo on the pedal. It just helps make it a little fuller sound, which in effect makes it louder. The left hand on pages 28 and 29 just pretty much keeps this same pattern going that you've had on page 27. On page 29, look at the dynamic starting with the second line. The first one, you have a fortissimo there in the middle of the measure. That's really important here. That has to be loud. And then immediately you follow it very soft. It says soft, but you can go very soft if you want. It's like there's a contrast here, and it's a very, very important contrast to this piece. You get it again on the next line. In the second measure, you're here. Then soft. And then you're getting loud at the end. Fermata, I'm going to hold that for 1 extra beat. And then it ends loud. So when you're playing it on your own, be sure and do these dynamics. They're important, all right? When we play it together, I'm just going to play it because I want you to hear the notes, or I'm not trying to perform it for you. Now, we're going to do page 27. At the bottom, it has first and second endings, so yes, we're going to do those. We can do it. And then when we get done with the second ending, we're going to stop. We're going to turn the page. I'm going to count us in again. Then we're going to do pages 28 and 29 together. If you want to do pedal, you go right ahead. It's only used at the end because you wouldn't use it in the rest of it because we need the staccato in the left hand. And the pedal would cover that up. There is a really nice effect going on in this piece that you will run into in other pieces. And even in some pieces you're playing, say, I don't know, some arrangement of some song or something you're doing, if it has an introduction, you can use this same effect. And that is, it starts out medium loud and then it gradually gets softer until at the end of the first line you see it's pianissimo. It's very soft. And that's the melody. That's the top note. It's almost like you're sneaking around, okay? It's very timid. And that's a really important effect. The problem we have here is you've got 3 measures to go from medium loud to very soft, and if you don't plan it out, you'll be very soft by the second measure. You'll get there too soon. You have to space it. So plan it. The first measure, just stay medium loud. The next measure, come down to medium soft. And then the next measure, go down to soft. And now you're at very soft. Very soft. When we play it together, I'm just going to play it. You do the dynamics when you're on, you're polishing it up. When we do the page turn, we're going to stop. And right, I explained all that. When you're performing it, you can't do that. You've got to make that page turn as you're playing. So how do you do that? Well, you've got notes at the bottom that go right into the next. I mean, you got no free time to turn the page. So what do? Well, ideally, you just memorize the whole piece. You don't have to worry about it. But if it's not memorized, the only thing you can do is you have to leave out some notes, and you have to pick which notes you're going to leave out. The melody cannot be left out. You've got to have the melody, okay, in this case. So you're going to have to play the right hand. So in this case, I would say leave out the notes in the last measure of the left hand and use your left hand during that measure to turn the page. So instead of here, it would be, you could play the first one and that's it. And then as the right hand is playing those two quarter notes, you've got to turn the page real quick because you need to play the first note in the next measure in the left hand. You have to be quick about it. And you may have to practice page turns. I do practice page turns a lot when if I'm accompanying somebody or I'm in a group and we have page turns, I practice the page turns. So 4 counts slowly and we'll play it together. Starting out with the left hand here. Right hand when it comes in will be here. 1, 2, ready, go. Repeat. Stop, turn the page. 1, 2, ready, go.